What's going on, everybody? My name is Peyton, co-host and co-owner of Everything College Basketball podcast and Facebook group. And today, this weekend, we will see conference tournament action happening down there in Louisiana as the Southland tournament is officially announced. The bracket has just released. I am recording this video very early, 2:30 a.m. on a Saturday morning. 10 hours from now, I will be heading towards Evansville, Indiana for the OVC Tournament Championship, where we'll see the Little Rock, the 1 seed Little Rock taking on 3 seed Morehead State. More to come on that. Have some videos for there, so check out the Facebook group and Twitter for updates when me and Josh are heading to that game and giving you guys all the updates for that. But on Sunday, the Southland tournament starts. It'll be held in Lake Charles, Louisiana, in the Legacy Center. It starts March 10th on Sunday, and it ends on March 13th. The championship game will be held on Wednesday, March 13th. The 1 seed of this tournament is obviously McNeese State, led by Will Wade, our first-year head coach, by the way, down there at that program. You had Texas A&M Corpus Christi, who locked up the 2 seed. And overall, even though it's ranked nationally lower towards the lower half of conferences ahead, according to KenPom, it's still a tournament you need to watch out for because there's some interesting teams in there that can give McNeese State a run for the money. And overall, I think this conference is a little bit better than people realize. They just get overrun with the overwhelming presence of McNeese State and how well they've done, not only in the conference, but nationally as well. Before we preview this bracket, let's go ahead and get into a couple of notes I have written down. Like I mentioned, McNeese State, they won the league pretty convincingly. They won it with a 17-1 conference record. The only loss in conference was to Southeastern Louisiana, who is the 5 seed of this tournament. We'll get to them in a little bit. Will Wade has done an incredible job in his first year at McNeese State. He's took a program who won 11 games last year, and now they are 28-3 with the overall record, and they've only lost 1 game in conference play this season, and they clinched the 1 seed. They won this league by over 3 games over Texas A&M Corpus Christi. They've got dudes on this roster. They are nationally ranked top 100 in not only offensive efficiency, but defensive efficiency as well. So not only are they ranked number 1 in basically every statistical stat in the conference, but they're also ranked nationally as well, which is very, very incredible and just shows how good of a team that this is, not only in the conference, but nationally as well. They've got 4 dudes on this roster who average double figures. Obviously, they're back behind Shahada Wells, who's a guard. He is probably, should be a shoo-in to win Conference Player of the Year. I can't see a way for him to not win that award. This kid's been phenomenal this season, and he came in, did great things last year, and he did basically the same thing he did last year and this year. He averaged 17.2 points per game, 4.6 rebounds per game, 4.7 assists per game. Although offensively is his main paralysis, defensively he did his job. He averaged 2.9 steals. So he's showing not only can he score, but he can also get out there and defend people as well, which is, you always want that in one of your best players. Christian Schumont leads the team in rebounding per game with 9.7. This kid is averaging almost a double-double in the season. Not just in conference play. He's averaging almost a double-double this year. 12 points per game with 9.7 rebounds per game. This team has the best backcourt in the Southland Conference, and it's not even close. I mentioned Shahada Wells. He shoots over 40.2 points, over 40% from 3. Then you have DJ Richards Jr., who's a guard. Played over 31 games this year, averaging 25 minutes per season. 11.4 points per game, 2.3 rebounds per game, assists per game, and he's shooting 44.8% from the three-point line. Incredible marksmanship from him. Then you have Javon Garcia, who's another guard, averages almost 27 minutes per game, 11.1 points per game, 3.2 rebounds per game, 1.4 assists per game, 1.7 assists a game, and guess what? He's shooting over 45% from 3, 45.2% from the three-point line. They have 3 guys, the 3 main guards, Shahada Wells, DJ Richards Jr., and Javon Garcia, who are all shooting over 40% from 3. Not only that, but they have a center named Antavion Cullum, a center, by the way, who shoots over 39% from 3. They've got nearly 4 guys who can light it up from 3. three guards, and you have a center who could stretch it out. They play a fun offense. This is a team you need to watch out for, and you can definitely see why, watching the tape and just watching them all season long, why they dominated this conference and why they can upset anybody in the country if they win this league. And if they want to win this league title, they're going to have to go through the two-time back-to-back defending champs, Texas A&M, Corpus Christi. Texas A&M Corpus Christi is the 2 seed in this bracket. They finished the regular season with only 4 losses in conference play and should be contended to win the league title like they've done in the past few seasons. Gary Clark and Dion White-Ford are the backbones of this team. Gary Clark does basically more of the groundwork. He leads the team in scoring with 13 points per game, averages 8.2 rebounds per game, averages assists a game, 1.1 assists per game, and 1.1 steals per game. 25% from three. He's not a high prolific scorer like what I mentioned with Tavion McCollum from McNeese State, but he does the groundwork for you, and he shoots over 54.6% from the field, which is incredible. Dion White-Ford, who's the leading guard, over 20 minutes per game, 10.3 points per game, 2.6 rebounds, 1.6 assists. He takes care of the ball. He averages a turnover per game, 41.4% from the field goal line. Does not shoot the ball well from three at all, 26.8. 71% from the free throw line, but they got 2 guys who are just going to attack you constantly, in Dion White-Ford and Gary Clark, and you have Jordan Roberts who's shooting up 39% from three. So they've got a couple of sharpshooters on this team, but they lost this conference by over 3 games to McNeese State. So those are your top two seeds in this bracket. Pulling up the bracket now. Let's go ahead and start getting into some of these predictions. My preview for the Southland Conference Tournament starts on March 10th, ends on March 13th. The first couple of games on March 10th, you see 8 seed New Orleans taking on 5 seed Southeastern Louisiana. Although this game could be upset potential, Southeastern Louisiana has 2 guys on this roster who averages over double figures. Nick Caldwell, 15.5 points per game, and Roger McFarland, 14.7 points per game. And also, I mentioned earlier, they're the only team in this conference to beat McNeese State this season. So clearly they've got a good roster, and clearly they got a good mindset heading into this tournament, and they got some momentum. So I think Southeastern Louisiana, although it might be close earlier in the game, I think they pull away late, and I think they end up winning this game pretty comfortably by around double digits. So Southeastern Louisiana defeats New Orleans to go to the second round. Next matchup in the first round, we have Texas A&M, the 7th seed, Texas A&M Commerce taking on the 6th seed Northwestern State. This game's going to be very intriguing. Texas A&M Commerce had a pretty decent season this year, although they are the 7th seed in this region or in this bracket. I still think they can do a couple different things well in this game to maybe have them win this one. They've got a good couple of guys on this roster. They got Kalen Williams. They've got Tommy Lewis. They've got Jerome Brewer. They didn't have the greatest of season. They started the year 0-4, but if you look at the 4 losses that they had early in the year, they lost to Texas A&M on the road, Texas Tech on the road, at Kentucky on the road, and at Purdue Fort Wayne on the road. So they started off 0-4. They've won 3 games in a row after that. Kind of had an up and down season. They don't shoot the 3 ball pretty well. 29.8% from 3, 47.5% from the 2-point line. They don't get to the free throws. Or when they get to the free throw line, they don't convert them very well, shooting about 69%. Not a good season out of them. I think Northwestern State wins this game. I think the first round kind of holds chalk. Southeastern beats New Orleans, and Northwestern State beats Texas A&M Commerce in the first round. Moving on to the second round, we have Southeastern, the 5 seed, taking on 4 seed Lamar. This game might be the game of the tournament for me, especially in the early rounds, because this is honestly a toss-up. Lamar has had an impressive season. They've had 4 guys who average in double figures. Terry Anderson, who leads them in scoring with 12.7. Then you have Chris Pryor and BB Knight, who average 11.8 and 11.1. Then you have Adam Hamilton, who averages 10.8 points per game. 4 guys who score in double figures. Chris Pryor shoots over 40% from 3. BB Knight shoots over 37% from 3. So they got a couple of sharpshooters on their team. They've won over They finished the overall season with 18-13 record, and in conference play, they finished the year with a 12-6 record, which ended up clinching them the 4 seed. Southeastern Louisiana, I already mentioned them in the first game. Nick Caldwell is going to be the best player in the 4. They don't shoot the 3 ball particularly well, especially in conference play, as they're shooting, nationally, they shoot over 34% from 3 nationally, but in conference only, they've actually upped their 3-point percentage a little bit. They're shooting up 36.5% from 3, which I think is very important. Also, they lead the league in free throw percentage, shooting over 75% from the 3. So that's going to be a big key deciding factor for me. If they can get to the free throw line, I think they're going to convert the majority of the free throws. They're going to hit a couple shots, and Nick Caldwell is going to be the best player on the floor. Even though Lamar probably overall has a better roster than Southeastern Louisiana has the best player on the floor. They would get to the free throw line. They're going to convert more than they miss, and they're going to be able to hit a couple of shots. I think, and they'll lead the league in assists per game as well, according to Ken Palm. I think Southeastern Louisiana, quote unquote, even though it's not really an upset, not a 5-4, it's not really an upset to me, but I guess in some ways maybe it is. Southeastern Louisiana beats Lamar in a close one, a high-scoring game. I can see this game being in like the mid to high 70s. Very entertaining. Keep an eye on this matchup. I think Southeastern Louisiana gets it done. The Lions move through to the semifinals. Moving on to the next matchup, we got 3-seed Nichols taking on 6-seed Northwestern State. I don't think this game's going to be particularly close, and here's why. First of all, looking at this roster, Nichols has a better roster than Northwestern State. They have 4 dudes on this roster who averages in double figures. DeAndre Smith leading them in scoring with 15.3 points per game, also shooting over 39% from the field, from the 3-point line on the season. Then you have Jamal West Jr., who's a forward, 14.1 points per game, averaging 7.5 rebounds per game, also dropping 2 dimes per game, which is very impressive for a big guy. Shooting over 51% from the field. Then you have guys like Robert Brown III and Byron Ireland, who are both averaging over double figures. Robert Brown III averaging 13.7, shooting over 40% from the 3-point line. So they've got 2 dudes in DeAndre Smith and Robert Brown III who can just light it up from 3, and I think that's going to be very important. Not only are they ranked second in conference play for 3-point percentage, or shooting over 37% from the 3-point line, but they're also the number 1 team in this conference at the defending the 3-point line as well. So not only can they light them up themselves, they can also stop teams and hold them under 31% from the 3-point line, that's going to be very important, because in the tournament atmosphere, it's going to be really difficult for you to hit shots consistently, specifically from the outside 3-point line. So the fact that they're the number 1 in that category, they're defending the 3-point line, and they got 4 dudes who can flat out score and do the dirty work for them, and they got a couple dudes and Robert Brown III and DeAndre Smith who can flat out just score the basketball and just be able to hit shots consistently. I don't think this game is going to be particularly close. I like the Colonials moving on to the semifinals to face the 2-seed Texas A&M Corpus Christi. Let's go ahead and move on to the semifinal matchups. According to me, I have the 5-seed. We look at the top half of the bracket. I have 5-seed Southeastern Louisiana taking on McNeese State, the only team this season, I've mentioned a couple times, I'll mention it again for the last time, the only team to able to beat McNeese State and stop them from going a perfect record in conference play was Southeastern Louisiana. And then the bottom half of the matchups, you got Texas A&M Corpus Christi, who's a 2-seed, taking on 3-seed Nichols. The Colonials. Here's how I think these 2 matchups are going to go. I think the McNeese State versus Southeastern Louisiana matchup is going to be close for the first 30 minutes. The last 10 minutes, I think Will Wade and McNeese is going to remember that matchup early in the season where they end up losing. They're going to remember that. They're going to make some adjustments. So I have plenty of time to make some adjustments because they got the double bye in this game. They're going to be the fresher team. Southeast Louisiana playing on the first couple of days. They're going to be a little bit tired. They might start the game off well. I can see Nick Caldwell having about 15 points heading into halftime, but when we get to the nitty-gritty, the under 10, the under 12 timeout is going to be very important. How will their legs hold up playing in consecutive days, not having a rest, and McNeese State obviously having the most rest in this bracket, in this matchup. I think McNeese State pulls it out last 10 minutes of the game. You'll see Shanada Wells going off, having a good game. Christian Schumacher's going to be the difference maker for me because obviously I mentioned he almost averaged a double-double. I can see in this game him averaging about or having another 20 and 10 type of performance, really grinding it out, giving the ball to him, let him make the decisions. And then when it gets down to the nitty-gritty, you still have three-point shooters on the floor at all costs, and Shahada Wells, DJ Richard Jr., and Javon Garcia. And you could also stretch it out with a Tavian Column. I don't think they have an answer for them in the last 10 minutes. McNeese State wins this game, pulls away in the last 10 minutes, and they go on to the final on Wednesday to face who? They'll face the winner of Texas A&M Corpus Christi and Nichols. This game is going to be very intriguing for me because although Texas A&M Corpus Christi has the confidence and they have the consistency of winning the title like they've done in the last 2 years, they have that going for them. I think Nichols beats them in this game because they have a better roster, a better well-constructed roster. They shoot the three ball better than any team in the country or any team in this league not named McNeese State. They defend the three ball really well. They have 4 guys on this roster who averages over double figures, including 2 guys who can shoot over 40% from 3, nearly 40% from 3. Call me crazy, but I think the final is going to be McNeese taking on Nichols for a chance to punch the ticket on Wednesday, March 13th. And I think McNeese State holds it off. I think McNeese, surprise to nobody. They were coming into this league, or coming into this bracket. They were the favorites, consistent favorites to win this league pretty comfortably as they won the league regular season by 3 games. I do think they'll have some interesting matchups with Southeastern Louisiana in the semifinal, and I do think this game will be close, but I think overall McNeese just has too much going for them. They're the only team in the Southland Conference who shoots better from the three-point line than Nichols does. They also have a better defense overall. They're number 1 in every single category almost for offensive efficiencies and defensive efficiencies in the Southland Conference. They've got a better roster. They have more dudes on this roster who can make plays down the stretch in Shahada Wells and Christian Schumacher. You can trust him down low. They can stretch it out, play 4 out, 1 in. I think McNeese State, no surprise to anybody that's probably listening or watching this, I think McNeese wins this game. It's going to be a lower scoring game, probably low 70s. I can see McNeese winning this game 72-65 and punching their ticket, be one of the first teams this season to punch their ticket into the big dance, into March Madness. Will be McNeese State, the Cowboys. They will represent the Southland Conference as they've done all season long, and they will punch their ticket into the big dance. Let me know what your predictions are down below. This tournament starts on Sunday, March 10th, and it ends on March 13th. Let me know if you have McNeese State win, if you agree with me like everybody else probably does. Or let me know if you have an upset. Maybe you think Southeastern Louisiana could upset them and go on to make a Cinderella type of a run. Maybe you think Lamar as a 4 seed can do some damage. Maybe you think Texas A&M Corpus Christi can win this league 3 times in a row and punch their ticket into March. This tournament is going to be very intriguing to watch, especially if you see a big upset like McNeese going out in the first game in the semifinal, which if that happens, that could be spelled like in a crazy final between whoever makes it into the final. Either way, let me know your predictions down below. I'm going to be recording more of these videos here soon. Check out our coverage from the overseas title game. Check out our show, Everything College Basketball, on Spotify and YouTube and Twitter. Go follow us on the Twitter. Go join our Facebook group. We'll have more info coming on what our bracket challenge is going to be. Still kind of grinding out the details for that. Otherwise, thank you guys so much for joining. Give this video a like, share, and subscribe for me, and I'll catch y'all next time. Peace.